excited as Tuesday. I bet you have enjoyed your Easter holidays and we're back in the studio. And today I have two wonderful ladies all the way from New York City. Yes, so what brings you to London?
My name is Coach Gessie. I'm a health and nutrition coach, and I'm co-founder of the Detox Now and the Hope Beyond Fibroids elimination programs. And in the work that we do, we help women to empower and educate them about how to holistically heal their bodies from things like infertility, fibroids, endometriosis, and cysts, many other issues. So next week being National Infertility Awareness Week, it was interesting because as we were preparing to come here, we got the news of one of the women in our program, our Detox Now and Hope Beyond Fibroids program, had a miracle baby.
Okay.
And she had a miracle baby after really struggling with infertility, being afraid of not being able to have babies because of the many reproductive issues she was dealing with. And she did it holistically on our program. And I started to do research on the impact of infertility internationally. And it turns out there is no International Infertility Awareness Week or Infertility International Awareness Day.
Yeah.
So I'm here actually advocating for that because guess what? The numbers are the same actually globally.
Around the world,
One out of 10 women actually are affected by infertility, whether it's in the U.S. or the UK or in Africa. Globally, it is truly an international issue, and we want to help women with that.
Miracle baby. So we come. I know you had a miracle baby. So
Awesome miracle baby.
Yes. Coach Felicia, also you, what brings you here? I know you coach, you are executive or emotional intelligence coach and a motivational speaker. And even though you ladies she's tagging along on what you're doing. I want you to tell me a little bit about what you do.
Well, a little bit about what I do is I'm a diversity coach. And really, it's not, I mean, I work a lot in America, but I work with other countries as well. But there really is a global conversation surrounding the way that we relate, and I don't like to say as races, because I believe in one race, the human race.
The human race.
But the way that we relate as cultures. And what we're seeing a lot in America, and I know not just in America, but other countries, is that we're seeing a lot of polarization. And there are some mindsets that seem to be making a comeback in terms of certain things that we're seeing in corporations, we're seeing even just as individuals in our daily lives. And what I love to do is to help people learn how to work together and create intercultural competence. So I'm here in London to work with a client in terms of developing that within the organization. But what I'd like to do as an individual is equip people to survive in a world that is increasingly intercultural. And I like to focus on people of color, and I say that because the way we navigate the world is different. The way we live in the world is different. And how do we build successful careers? You know, it's not a matter of you get to go into work and the things that face you outside of work, you leave them outside the door. You bring them into work with you. How do we do that? How do we build successful careers when we're often asked to assimilate and leave who we are outside the door? And so my goal, my focus is to help people to be authentic, to be themselves, and to show up in corporate America and still build the careers that they want and wish to build.
Okay, so you're in London, so you'll be teaching us how we have to do it, not only
because it's not international. You're right. So excuse my language. It's not just America. It's all over. We're often asked, again, there is a mainstream culture in many places, and we're often asked, compromise who you are, change who you are, change the way you talk, change the way you show up to fit in here, to show us that you can be successful, and that's not true. We can be who we are everywhere and dominate and be successful, and that's what I aim to teach people how to do.
Oh, awesome. So you're here also to promote the fertility awareness internationally, and I know that you went through, you know, some stages in your life. You had some struggles in regards to that, especially with fibroids, which you've been advocating for many, many years. And so tell me, the journey of how you got your miracle baby.
Well, first of all, yes, my miracle baby who is with us on this trip. And it's amazing that I look back that for 10 years I battled infertility. And personally, I'm one of the 90% of women who battle fibroids by age 50. And I battled it for 14 years. Actually 15 years, I personally battled fibroids. And those fibroids cause infertility, okay? So that is very common. And when it comes to the infertility, for me, for 10 years, we were praying. I mean, this is my sister. She's my sister in Christ, my love. And, you know, we were praying for that miracle. And many, many years of 10 surgeries and IVF cycles, which are in vitro fertilization cycles, because some people are not able to get pregnant naturally. And I was one of those people because of the fibroids. I had also, you know, more than, because of the 10 surgeries, 5 of them being for fibroids, I ended up in the hospital over 120 combined days. Okay. Wow. So, but the thing about it is, I know I'm not alone, because even though, you know, I had the situation where my heart stopped on the operating table because of these conditions, I had my miracle baby, which is the great news, after all of this ordeal. And when Essence Magazine, which is how we met at Essence Festival, published my story, it set this it catalyzed things where it became viral. It went viral because people all over the world, women all over the world, were saying, oh my God, I'm suffering from this. I've been battling this for this number of years. I'm trying to have a miracle. I've had surgeries. I'm dealing with fibroids. And it's then, you know, Nana, I didn't realize it was an epidemic until my story came out. And then from then, actually, I partnered with these naturopathic doctors, Doctors Amsu and Amun, who are now my partners in the Hope Beyond Fibroids and the Detox Now programs, because they really helped me understand the root cause of these issues. Because as I was going through, all the doctors would tell me, we don't know what causes it. We just know you're dealing with it. We don't know what causes it. And, you know, don't worry about it. And I would have surgery after surgery. I'm dealing with this over and over, to the point where it literally controlled my life.
There's so many women out there, as you said, who, I mean, till her story came out, I knew about fibroid and all that, but I didn't know that it was that serious till, you know, I met her and we read, and then other women were coming out. And then in my community, as, you know, the African Caribbean community as well, you know, it's very, very high. And so what made you go into this, you know, eliminating fibroid with what you do?
Well, so the key thing was, I say, when I gave birth to my daughter, Nia, I love you, she birthed me into my purpose and work as a health coach, as a fibroids activist, as the co-founder of these programs, because it then opened up the door to me as to how massive an epidemic these issues are. And when I started realizing, wait a minute, that there are actually, the root cause is known. When I started to learn, because what happened is, I ended up, after my last surgery, I ended up in full-blown menopause. And the doctors wanted to put me on hormone replacement drugs for the rest of my life. And I had a praying mother. I have a praying mother. I have a praying grandmother who said, Gessie, I don't know what you're gonna do, but you cannot end up on those hormone drugs, because they are linked to advancing breast cancer and cervical cancer and things like that. And I knew I wasn't gonna go from fighting fibroids to fighting cancer. I knew that. Definitely. I knew that. So I said, you know what, God? I'm gonna look for a natural remedy. Within 2 weeks' time, I literally was connected with these naturopathic doctors. And as I started talking to them, they said, listen, estrogen dominance is the root cause. We know that it is, and it's actually known research-wise, but the medical community doesn't want you to know this, because it's connected to birth control pills. It actually, it drives $1 billion business, okay? Because think about it, trace it. Estrogen is actually what we call the birth control pill, estrogen pill, because they give it to you, they prescribe it to you for irregular cycles. Birth control pill. You bleeding? Birth control pill. Acne? Birth control pill. Well, guess what? That birth control pill drives the development. It masks your symptoms temporarily, but it actually drives the development of things like fibroids and cysts and infertility, okay, adenomyosis, endometriosis, all these issues. But it wasn't until I was working with these doctors that I learned this, and then it started to make sense, Nana. Because as I was talking to the GYNs, they would say, well, we don't know what causes it, but we know that when estrogen is high in the body, they grow. We don't know what causes it, but we know when estrogen is going down in the body, they start to disappear and shrink. But they wouldn't say that estrogen was the root cause because it's linked to birth control pills. And then guess what? If I tell you the prevention, if I tell you how to prevent it, you don't have to come back for repeat surgeries because they're not coming back anymore if I deal with the cure. And then if that's the case, then what happens to the hormone replacement drug those drugs? These are $1 billion in business. I was doing an interview. In fact, we launched this whole campaign called Kill the Pill because we understand that the pill's heavily promoted to women as the cure-all for many things. This woman called in and literally everything we talked about, she had been on a birth control pill for 10 years. She had developed fibroids. Her adrenal glands suffered majorly. She had developed thyroid issues, and then she was dealing with breast cancer. And it was because of the protocols she was put on. So we're helping women now to educate them and empower them that actually your body knows how to heal itself. God created it that way. And it's a lifestyle change. These diseases are driven by stress, diet, and pollutants. And the power is within you to change
that.
Yes, and once we've seen women like the woman Claire, who we're going to get to speak to this week, who had her miracle baby literally just last month. She had cycles that went on for months. Women are hemorrhaging for months. You can literally have a heart attack because of that kind of anemia. One of the women in the U.S. on our program, she eliminated 50 fibroids. Her name is Annalise, and she's been very vocal on her story, which is on our website. And she eliminated 50. I know her personally. MRI documented 50 fibroids on our program with no surgery, with the lifestyle change. So we know it works. But what happens? The doctors don't want you to know that.
Yes.
Because it's job security being affected.
Now we're going to say, we're trying to get the doctors out of jobs. Hey.
To be focused on prevention.
Prevention.
Yeah.
So if you're a doctor and you're watching, maybe you can send us some questions for Gessie. And that's why you launch your Detox Living, which we're going to come to that.
Absolutely.
I want to share some motivation because Coach Gessie wants to motivate us. Why do I keep calling you Coach Gessie today? I don't know. Because we're sisters. We're sisters, Coach. Tell me why you got into the motivation coaching.
Why do I do what I do because I dealt with depression for about 7 years, from the ages of 16 to 23. It really is more like 8 years, 16 to 24 years old. And if you were to, sometimes we look to find the reason for depression. I do believe that there are reasons, but on paper, why are you depressed? You come from a good family. You have a mom and dad who love you. My parents did well economically. Yeah. I didn't want or need for anything. So why was I depressed? And when I tell you, it wasn't sadness, it was depression. And at first I didn't know what it was. I just thought I was a mean person. I just thought I was a miserable person. I did not have a name for what it was. It was they call it the dark cloud, the black dog. And it just followed me all around.
Well, how were you reacting?
My reaction to it was I literally cut people off from my life.
Just like that.
I went into a hole. I went into a shell, and it happened just before I went to college. So here I am. I went to college in New York. My family lives in Miami, Florida. So here I am in New York, and I'm able to hide it from my parents because I only go. I go home during the summer, or I would go home for Christmas for a week or two. So I was able to kind of hide it. And so I dealt with depression, I'd say, for about 7 or 8 years. And the process to my healing, and again, it really was a journey, it really was a process. And I realized and recognized so many things through writing, through journaling, etc. But all I can really say is the darkness that I experienced, because I didn't love myself, because I couldn't accept myself, because I didn't understand who I was, because I was so busy trying to conform and twist into who people thought I should be. I never want anyone else to experience that again if I can help it. And I do what I do because I believe that every single person is here for a purpose. I believe that every single person is a solution. And my job, my role, in life is to help you understand the solution that you are. And that is how I got into what I do. I don't like to call myself motivational because I'm not motivational. I am not inspirational. I believe that I am transformational because you can be inspired, you can be motivated. But if you don't take any action, if you don't do anything differently, then you will not experience transformation. So what my life is about helping people to experience transformation in different areas of their lives. But I do what I do because there was a point in time in my life where I needed to know that I was not alone, that I needed to know that I mattered, where I needed to know that I had value. Okay? And it's so weird because I had people all around who loved me, but they could not get through that darkness. They could not get through that barrier, through that wall.
I like that because we live in a world now that many people, most people are looking glamorous, but then
this is why
it's shallow within.
I'm not a big. This is why we have to be careful with social media.
Yeah,
because people don't post their failures.
Yeah.
They don't post when their child is failing every class. They post when their child is making straight A's. They post when their child, writes them a lovely card. They don't post when their child is about to cuss them out. They don't post that. And so what you do is you have this world where you have the best shots, the best moments of someone's life, and you're sitting there and you're living what you're living every single day. Those ups, those downs, those ins, those outs. But you're sitting there and you're flipping through it. All you're seeing is the ups, the ups, the ups, the ups. And you stop and you wonder what's wrong with me. And there is nothing wrong with you. Okay, there's nothing wrong with you. You're completely normal in what you're experiencing, but everybody is taking the highlights of their lives and putting it out there on social media. And that's why I say you have to be careful with social media because it can be a complete illusion. Okay, and you can look at it and you can judge your life and think you're a failure. You can think everybody's moving, but you're not moving, and that's not the way we're supposed to live. So that's why I just say be cautious.
Someone said that people will not pay to listen to others' failures. Everyone will want to pay for people's success, which is true, isn't it? You're successful. I want you on my show, but I don't want you to come and tell me, you failed and all that. No, and that's what's happening.
Because every success was born out of many failures.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not just I have one success. If I have one success, I've had about 50 failures. So we're looking. I know Coach Gessie personally. That's my sister. So we're looking at where she is now, but I can tell you, and she'll tell you about the 50 failures that got her to the point where she is today. Yeah. But those 50 failures made her who she is. They made her into the woman that could go through what she went through to have her miracle baby. Right. So we've got to talk about our failures just as much as we talk about our successes, because the success is born out of failure.
Okay. So when you were going through your dark days and your parents were in Miami, Florida, when you went home for holidays, they never notice any change, or because now we're talking to the youngsters as well.
I like to think I have a great sense of humor, and so I can laugh it off. If you look at some of the, and I'm by no means putting myself in their category, but if you look at some of the greatest comedians, they deal with depression, and so I knew how to turn up that funny part, that comedic part, and get through it for 2 weeks and then go back home, camouflage and go back home and into my depression. But some of our greatest comedians deal with depression. Some of our greatest speakers and leaders deal with depression.
Oh wow.
That's
yes, exactly.
I was just going to say that many times remember I touched on stress, right? So because people think that why am I dealing with all these issues? Really, when you look at many women when they come to our program, they came through a period in their lives where things basically snowballed. And when I'm doing whether it's a consult with them, because we offer free consults on a weekly basis to go through their patient profile and create, recommend the right protocol for them in terms of how to turn their life around in terms of lifestyle changes. And what we'll see is, were you going through a very stressful period? Yes, I was going through a divorce. Or yes, I was going through a depression because I lost my mother. You know, it was a grieving period. And it's very connected to not only their bodies are being pumped with cortisol from the stress, all right, because there's a chemical reaction. Because you were talking about a depression. Well, that depression actually has a chemical reaction in your body. And it's pumping your body with cortisol. And cortisol, what that does is it actually, what we call medically upregulates the conditions in your body. So let's say it's like putting the steroids on drugs, right? Okay. It's like literally putting the drugs on steroids, meaning it multiplies whatever is negative in your body. So let's say you're eating, hey, I've been eating bad just like this all my life, but then you're going through a high stressful period. It's going to multiply the impact it has on your body. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So here we are, what will happen is now that causes this vicious cycle where you're not just, you're dealing with the stress, but then guess what? You also start to stress eat. You eat worse usually when you're stressed because you're striving for comfort, right? So again, it's this snowball. That's why we say your mental health, what we eat actually affects our mental health, and our mental health affects what we eat. It's this round and round, right? So for us, it's about empowering and educating women for their reproductive health, their gastrointestinal health, the digestive health would be easier to say, their cardiovascular health. It's all driven by lifestyle, how they're dealing with their stress, how they're dealing with their diet, what they're eating, and how they're dealing with the environment, like the environment that they're putting themselves into, and that's relationships. Right? Yeah. Because we talk about detox living. That's what you asked. And detox living is life free of toxic relationships, toxic thoughts, toxic habits, and definitely toxic foods. Okay. So
we're going to start with toxic relationships.
Oh, that's a good one.
So
we both like to talk about toxic relationships
because Felicia is looking at me as like, bring it on. So toxic relationships.
Yes.
You know, last 2 weeks we were talking about marriage, and some people are still in toxic relationship because they don't, because of what society would say.
Yes.
So if you're saying somebody's in toxic relationship, they should get out?
Well, number one, you have to assess what's the relationship, right? So if it's a marriage, like we have a woman in our program who she was not able to get better until she separated from her husband. Her husband was abusive. He was physically abusive. And she finally realized, you know what? I've got to start taking care. I have to choose myself. Right now, if you're in a place where you can't be in a relationship with me without hurting me to the point where it is damaging me, because everybody, look, nobody's perfect.
Yeah.
But if you're abusive, then I need to draw the line and say, I'm not here advocating for divorce. However, I am advocating for health. And if that is what is required, maybe distance, maybe space is required. So we say, assess the relationships in your life and determine which ones need distance, which ones need an exit sign.
Exit sign. Right? What do you have to say on that?
I think the number one thing anyone needs to do is to look at the number one relationship in your life, and that is your relationship to yourself.
Yes.
And so I've worked with people, coached people who were involved in extramarital affairs. I remember coaching this one wonderful person, and she was involved in a relationship with a married man for about 3 or 4 years. And, so people, I talked to someone, I didn't tell them, of course, who my client is. They were like, what'd she say? We told her to get out. I said, I didn't tell her to get out.
You didn't tell her to get out?
No, I didn't tell her to get out. Because let me tell you something. If you love yourself enough, nobody has to tell you to get out.
That's right.
Okay.
And so sometimes we work on do this, do that. I say work on loving yourself.
Yeah.
The more you work on loving yourself, getting to know yourself, those boundaries will begin to establish themselves.
That's true.
And no one will have to tell him go. Because you will love yourself enough to say, you know what? You're not loving me the way I love myself. You have to go. And so I work less on telling people, don't do this, don't do that. Focus on loving you, getting to know you. For me, my faith is primary. Okay, I believe that there is a Savior who came and died for my sins, and I believe that God loved me so much He sent that person for me. And so, if God loved me so much He sent that person for me, that was part of how I began to turn around and to love myself. A lot of times, and I say this to if you're young and you're listening, young kids instinctively know who they are. and they instinctively know who they want to be. It is the adults in their lives that try to press them and change them and mold them and make them into something else. We're always telling kids, don't do this, you're gonna embarrass me. We are messing kids up with those kinds of things. We have to learn how to temper our children, but not break our children. And a lot of us, what we're dealing with now is we were not tempered as children, we were broken as children. And so what I would encourage anyone to do is to go on a journey where you go back to what did you want to do when you were a kid? What did you love? Who did you love being? How did you love being as a kid? Try to reconnect to that first. And as you reconnect to that and you begin to love yourself more, you will begin to tell people, no, yes, you can't come here, you have to go there. You'll begin to have those boundaries, but it will be born out of loving yourself. So giving a set of do's and don'ts, it doesn't always work. Because if you don't love yourself enough to back that up, then it's not going to happen. Let me tell you something. I love myself enough to tell anybody in this world, you got to go.
That's actually really powerful. In fact, one of the fundamental things for detox living is radical self-love, right?
Absolutely.
Radical self-love and radical self-care. And we start off by saying, okay, you know what? The very first thing you have to decide is that what's central is my healing. My healing is central. My healing is now becoming the number one priority in my life. And that starts with receiving God's love.
But so sometimes people can say you're selfish.
But selfish is different than self-full. We teach people to be self-full.
Self-full.
Self-full means not, because selfish has got a bad rap. It's not about being selfish, it's about being self-full. It means I am focused on that which is required to take care of myself so that I can be everything that I need to be and who I need to be in the world to be able to show up in my purpose. Right? You got to take care, put the mask on yourself before you
put the mask on another one.
Battle with that question of is it self-care or selfish? Let me tell you, selfish people never have a moment of asking, is this selfish?
Hello. Preach that.
Because they don't care. So when you're stopping to question about it,
that means you're not selfish.
You're not selfish.
You care too much.
You see? Because you care. Selfish people do not care. We all know truly, genuine, 100% selfish people. And they do not think once, twice, or 3 times about anything they do.
No.
So if you're stopping and you're having these moments of contemplation and you're struggling, you are not selfish.
That's excellent. That's so excellent.
Let's move to the healthy eating, detox eating, because we know
it goes with the mindset.
Love our food.
Yeah, it starts with the mindset. So if I said to you, here, Nana, have some of this water, beautiful water. It looks so good, right? But it's full of cyanide. Would you just drop it? Would you just drink it if I told you it's full of cyanide?
No.
Okay. So it starts off with, why? Because cyanide is poisonous, right? All right. So the very first thing I want people to understand is that food is your medicine, not your entertainment. So everything we're eating is either healing us or it's hurting us. It's not neutral, okay? It's either healing us or hurting us. So I never start with the food, I start with mindset. Because if I can help you understand, the mindset is that I want to stop being the accomplice in the story of my disease, and I want to start being the hero in the story of my healing. Because too many times we're sitting there saying, oh my God, I'm battling such and such, as I'm eating foods that are literally clogging up my arteries, or they're driving inflammation in my body that's causing lupus or fibroids or whatever it is. So when I say, do you want healing? I go as a woman of faith. I too am a woman of faith. And you know, in the Bible, Jesus asked the man at the pool Bethesda, he said, do you want to get well?
Yeah.
That's one of the first questions I ask. Do you want to get well? Because if you don't know the answer to that question, it doesn't matter what meal plan I put you on, right? Yeah. Do you want to get well is the number one thing. When you are sick and tired of being sick, or you decide, you know what? I've decided the train is coming and I don't want to wait till I am in a crisis to make a change. Because the train is coming. We're in an epidemic of disease. That's why cancer, diabetes, these things are at an all-time high. Heart disease, people are dying of strokes and heart attacks and blood clots at an all-time high. Why? because we're in a culture of stress, we're in a culture of disease, all right? And we have to decide, I want to be here. I want to be here. I plan to be here so that I can fulfill the purpose God has for me. And if that's the case, then you say, you know what, I want to get well. Then we educate you about what foods heal and what foods hurt. Once you start to understand that, everything else falls into place. It doesn't make it easy.
It doesn't make it easy.
We were talking yesterday. I was an omnivore. I could eat, and she knows, she's my witness. How many days? Ribs every day, right? I got engaged at a rib place because I could eat. And I would not order a half a slab of ribs. I would order a full slab of ribs, right?
Okay.
And more. The point is I ate like
so
that.
Much.
But
can I share my story?
Sure, go ahead.
When I was in New York, and this is a true story. So I was in New York, and I called Gessie, and I said, "Oh, Coach Gessie, I'm in town," and said, "Oh, we're meeting." So she said, "I'm going to take you out for a meal." So I said I was excited, and she sent me a very wonderful posh name of the restaurant I was supposed to meet her. And Coach Felicia was coming along. And so I look at it, I went there, okay, wow, they're coming. And then they came, they gave me the menu, and it was all
plants.
The plants, cauliflower, and Coach Felicia, she loves food like the way I love food.
Yes.
And we were really, it was, I had to be, like a lady to have a
wonderful.
I did.
She handled it very well.
It was, but I think I'm grateful. It made me love cauliflower, by the way. But then we still ended up going to eat at food, right?
It's about deciding. You can't make all changes at one time, right? That's why you need support. For us, we give you a food list that's free on our website at thedetoxnow.com that you can download. A free food list. Maybe that's it for you. Maybe for somebody else, it's I'm going to start with the detox so that I have certain things that a structure that I can, or I need specifically. I'm going to just start, eliminating one meal a day replacement. Okay. What we try to do is empower you to make changes that actually you can inculcate into your lifestyle, and
so
it's
you
not
don't just take people off.
Yeah, I mean, well, guess what? Some people, if they're suffering, it's about their personality and your situation. Mm-hmm. If you are suffering and you are literally at death's door, we have people who literally, they were like, I was waiting to die before I started this program. And for them, they're radical. They're like, take it all away right now. I just know I want to heal. They're like that man at the pool of Bethesda, where Jesus said, do you want to get well? At first, he had all these, nobody's here to take me to the pool. The angels. Jesus was like, no, I didn't ask you all that. He said, do you want to get well? And when he finally said yes, then it was time. Some people, I don't pursue people. I'm like, you want healing? I'm here for you. You want to make changes? I'm here for you.
So it's about change. It's about a lifestyle. If you can't, nobody can do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. You have to decide for yourself. So
that you're worth it.
Do you want to be healed? Do you want your relationship to work? Yes. Coach Felicia, what do you want to say?
As Gessie was talking, there was something else that she talked about the different cultures that we live in.
Yeah.
We also live in a culture of convenience.
Thank you.
And the culture of convenience, it does, and she can definitely talk about how it impacts you in terms of food. I mean, like I have enough sense to know, like all of the packaged foods you eat with these, when a word has about 20 letters in it, maybe you shouldn't eat it. But that's a whole other story. I'm not a health coach, like I said. But the culture of convenience, even in terms of how we eat, but the culture of convenience affects what we will eat in terms of what we'll eat in a relationship and what we'll eat spiritually. A lot of people who are watching right now, the culture of convenience is why they're in a damaging relationship. It's more convenient to be with someone who doesn't value you than to be alone and deal with the pain of being alone, but you learn how to love yourself. And so that is, again, it's that culture of it's easy, it's accessible, it's what's there. And we don't realize it, but we're being trained for convenience all the time. Discipline is key to have, but in every single thing we do, it's about, I need the fastest Wi-Fi speed. I don't want to wait in line. I want to just put my card in and this happens and that happens.
Microwave.
Right. Yeah. So the microwave. She's against the microwave too. So but it's the way we live where we don't want to wait for anything, and we don't have to wait to cash a check anymore. It's direct deposit, and convenience can make life easier in some ways, but some ways convenience is costing us in terms of the quality of how we live. And so we have to be careful and be intentional about stepping outside of that convenience mindset, because in some places it works and it's good and okay, I get it. But in some places you have to stop and say, this is not about convenience, this is about quality and me having what's best.
Yeah, the question is, how is it toxifying my life, right?
Yeah.
So I was with a client and she put the microwave, I said, the microwave literally, it changes the molecular structure of your food. It is pouring radiation into your food. And she said, I was speaking to one of the doctor partners, and the way he explained it is, he said, Coach Gessie, he said, it's like putting a gun to your head when you eat food that's been microwaved. I was like, well, I never need to do that again. That was literally, our microwave is a bread box now in my house, right? So the reason I share that story is, okay, do I want to pay that price? It's convenient, but do I want to pay that long-term price? What is the cost attached to it?
Okay, so the microwave, we have the microwave food, and then we have, you want to heat your food in the microwave. Like,
it's both. It's using the microwave. But the microwave is just an example, right?
Okay, so you're saying not to use the microwave at all?
Not at all.
Oh dear.
Not at all. Because think about it, if I said to you, oh, it's not that much radiation, well, how much radiation is killing you?
Even if it's COVID.
Because you're also being affected by radiation just by being around cell phones. So in other words, eliminating, because I don't want people to be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
It's about what changes you can implement into your life that say, you know what, this is costing me my peace, right? Yeah. Coach Felicia is like, if it costs me my peace, it's too expensive.
Oh, that is, I live by that.
Right? If it costs me my peace in my health, peace is spiritual, emotional, physical, financial. Peace is in all the areas of our lives. And we have to say, if it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. I'm not willing to pay for it. And that, for me, it is a driver. When people finish our programs, one of the key things they say is that, you know what, it taught me most of all is to value and love myself to the point where I choose a zero tolerance for stress in my life. And that takes, when she talks about living where, you know what, I'm the priority.
Yeah.
Again, it's not selfish. I'm prioritizing myself so that I can give Dr. Miles Monroe would say, I can serve the world with my whole self.
Okay. So we have a mother asking, okay, I'm a mom, I've got the kids, I've got a husband, I'm working, doing all that. How can I say I'm going to love myself and have my whole being before I put the family?
I have a colleague of mine asked me the exact same question. She was dealing with she has a toddler. She's like a year and a half, and this colleague works about 70, 80 hours a week, has a husband who's a doctor. So like, how do I do that? And so I said, what's one thing you like to do that, just helps you feel good? And she said, if I could just have, and you might not like this, Gessie. She said, if I could just have my cup of coffee in the morning.
Make it dandelion tea. Make it dandelion.
So I said, okay. So here's where we'll start with you for your change. You get up 15, 20 minutes earlier and have your cup of coffee in peace. And about 2 weeks later, she sent me an email saying, I just want to thank you so much for telling me that. Because from that point, that starting her day with 15, 20 minutes for herself, just with a cup of coffee. It wasn't, she didn't go to the spa. She didn't go off to the Bahamas. Just by starting to do that, she began to see other ways where she could begin to conserve her time. So it started with something small. So if you have all of those things, all I'm saying is find one little thing that brings you peace and that brings you joy. Little thing.
Little things, not the big thing.
Yeah. And do that thing every day. Find one little thing every day that will bring you a little peace and joy, and begin to do those things. Because what will happen is you will begin to heal in yourself. And when you begin to heal in yourself, you'll begin to say, I'm worth it. And when you begin to say, I'm worth it, you'll start having more boundaries. You'll start realizing, like sometimes you may have moms that are under all this pressure, but maybe part of your pressure is you're doing laundry for a 14-year-old. You don't need to do laundry for a 14-year-old. Part of the pressure is, you're taking the kids everywhere. If you're a single parent, that's one thing. But if you have a spouse, take one thing off your list. But you're not going to even ask for that until you realize that you deserve that. So just get yourself to the place where you can realize that, hey, I deserve this.
So
that's like creating breathing room. Yes.
Breathing room. Okay. What is the next on the list for the detox living again?
So it's toxic. That we talked about thoughts, habits, because what you think about determines what you do, right? So it's sort of like what she actually just talked about. If I give myself time to actually breathe, we say create more space in your life, right? So it's maybe get up early so that I can take some time in prayer. Or maybe it's, what things am I doing right now? What am I doing that's on my schedule? This is one of the things we always ask, that are they're good, but not necessarily God. Meaning it's a good thing, but it's not really your assignment. Or it is a good thing and it is your assignment, but it's not for now. Because we tend to just keep adding things and adding things. And we say, wait a minute, our premise is, number your days is what the Bible says. So that's about saying, okay, what things, if I'm going to add something on, what do I take off?
Okay.
We never ask that question. And even when I'm focusing on what, if I add on something, what am I going to take off? The other thing is I pray every morning, like, God, what's the most important things to happen for today? The 80-20 Pareto principle is 80% of the impact is achieved from 20% of the focus. Okay?
Yeah.
So 20% of the things make 80% of the impact. So we say, let's focus on, Lord, what's the 20? What's the 20? And when I do that, I promise you, there's so many things that become irrelevant. There's so many things that say, you know what, that's not for now. It's good, but it's not God.
I would say, as a coach, I've actually given people this assignment, do a time audit. And what you do as a time audit is you, for 3 days straight, literally document where you spend every single minute of your day for 3 days straight. I mean, even, I would advise if you could do maybe 5, better, but at least 3 days, document where you spend every minute. And when you document where you spend every minute, then you sit down at the end of the week and you look at that. I guarantee you're going to see that you are wasting time. You are wasting time on your cell phone. You are wasting time on social media. You are wasting time talking to your friend for the 5th time about the same problem, and she is going to do what she wants to do anyway. Please stop having the conversation. She's made up her mind. So stop. Why is she talking to you about it every day when you know she's going to do what she wants to do? Stop talking about it. Take back those 20 minutes of your day and do what you want to do. So do a time audit, and you will begin to see that there is more time than you think there is. We waste a lot of time.
I love that. I will try it. You're very, very, very right. And trust me, if you're watching this, I'm learning so much, because time is something that we don't get back.
That's right.
Time is
the one thing.
Here's the thing. Stop thinking about time as time. Time is life.
Time is life.
Giving you my life.
Yeah.
So everyone watching your show, they just invested an hour of their life, but they're not getting it back. So time equals life. So where do you want to spend your life? What do you want to do with your life? Because that's what time amounts to, your life.
And so when we go back to, again, is this worth my peace, right? My peace is literally, it's connected to everything. Is this taking me in the direction of my purpose? Is this taking me in the direction of joy and peace in my life? And when we say, okay, then I invested that time. I invested my life in spending this time with you. But if it's actually draining me, if it's taking away, then I've actually lost that life. I've actually wasted that life. I've wasted the time connected to that. And that's one of the first things is many women we say, stop saying yes to everybody. And you say yes to everybody, and you get left saying no to yourself. You give everybody your best, and you give yourself the crumbs, because you don't know how to say no. And that's one of the biggest things, because we're really clamoring for approval. We're clamoring for self. We want people to say you're good. Well, we want people to say you are loved, you are worthy of love. And instead of saying no, I am worthy of love, because God made me. And because of that, I need to say no to you because I need this time for myself. I need to say, I have literally women who have broken down in sessions because they said, I finally said no. And it hurt so bad to say no, but I knew I needed to say it.
No.
And they literally saw it as a transformational point in their lives because they realized they never had the power to say no. No, they never took the power because they had the power all along. Because when you start saying no to the right things, you now have the freedom and the power to say yes to the right things, which includes saying yes to yourself, saying yes to your health, saying yes to your emotional, spiritual, body health. Again, so I don't start with the foods. That's why I said indefinitely foods. Because then when you're changing the way you're thinking, you're like, I'm doing this because I'm worth
mindset.
it. Yes, I'm worth it.
And I like the transformation because a lot of us, we read, we do food, we'll go on a diet.
Do a plan or something.
At the end of the day, we are still the same people.
Right.
Or let's put it this way, the beginning of the year, we all make
resolutions. Right.
And then come the end of the year, we're still the same. And they say you cannot get results by doing the same thing. So
over and over again.
how are you able to help these, whether women or men or your clients, to transform?
Well, first of all, it's about realizing that everything is not urgent. We again, that's that convenient thing. We just think everything is so important, and really it's not. And so I tell my clients, it's like, think of your life like this. Think about you go home one day, and heaven forbid, you go home, your house is on fire. Your house is on fire. That's your life. That's
Everything's gone.
There are some things you would run back in that house for. And the number one thing you run back in the house for are the people in that house. So make sure that the people that would be in that burning house, you make them a priority. Be intentional about making the people in your life a priority. So when you look at your life, if your life was on fire and it's burning to the ground, what would you run back in that house for? Those are the things we need to focus on in your life. Those are the priorities. And we begin to build life around those priorities. And we set goals that are not overwhelming. We set goals that are reasonable. Your goals have to stretch you, not stress you. Your goals have to stretch you because if they're overwhelming, you are not going to do it. But if it stretches you and you're uncomfortable, you'll do it. But if it's overwhelming, you won't do it. So it's really looking at the areas of your life where if you had changes in these areas, you'd experience the most impact, number one. Number two, taking those areas of life where you would experience the most impact and breaking it down into some small, measurable, reasonable goals over time. And so it's not, hey, listen, if I could, I would love to have a body like Beyonce. I think if I exercise 100 hours, a week, I probably still wouldn't have a body like Beyonce. Okay, so that's not a goal, but I can have a goal to be toned, to be slimmer, to be healthy, to be,
but you look beautiful, by the way.
Well, thank you very much.
Very beautiful.
And so it's a matter of, instead of saying something ridiculous like I want to lose 50 pounds in 1 month, how about I set a goal of losing 10 pounds in a month? But forget 10 pounds in 4 weeks. How about I set a goal of losing 2.5 pounds in 1 week? And when you begin to break it down, like right now, if you say by the end of the year, I want to save $5,000, okay? If you don't know when you want to save that first quarter by, you're going to get to the end of the year and you're not going to have your 5,000 pounds. Excuse me.
Right, not dollars.
We're in London, pounds. Yes, pounds.
You're not going to have it because you really need to have a due date. Nobody gets a bill that says pay when you feel like it. You get a credit card statement that says this much due by this date. Why? Because they want their money. And they know if they left it up to when you feel like it, maybe they just might not get it. And so that's how you want to structure your goals and structure your life. This much due by this date. And when you start putting this much due by this date on your goals, you'll begin to reach your goals. But just if it's just out there, it's not a goal, it's a wish. It's maybe a great wish, but it's a wish, and the wish probably isn't going to happen.
Awesome. And, for us, that's why we created a coaching program, because a lot of people want change, but they don't know how to do it, right? So for us, it's about who's on your team, right? Who's your tribe? What is your support system? And so whether it's, when people are trying to do things that are massive, like eliminate fibroids or have a miracle baby. We have a woman who had a miracle baby. She's actually had her second child now after 12 years of not being able to conceive, the Otis family had little Monet, right? But now they actually have had another little baby. And then another one of our Hope sisters, after like 10 years of trying, they had little CJ, and now she's expecting her second child, right? Now, these are wonderful things, but the way that they actually went about it is they finally said, I need help. And many people don't realize they need help. All right, they don't ask for help, right? So for us, you know, we created a program because people will tell you, oh, you know, just use Jamaican black castor oil, or just start to take this and just eat this, or just go vegan. And you know, these are all great independent things. But if you don't have literally a structured system, a protocol for lifestyle change, and I say lifestyle change because people will tell you, oh, all you need to do is this one thing, but you can eat however. All you need to do was one thing, you don't have to change the stress in your life. It's gonna be temporary, or it's not really gonna work. Because the truth is, it's a lifestyle that got you here, and it's a lifestyle that's going to actually transform your life, right? So for us, we knew coaching was an important part of the program for us because it provides the accountability, the community, the support system, because people are literally making a 180 change because we live in a culture of disease, and you're trying to now immerse yourself in a culture of healing. That is like saying, trying to do it on your own is like saying, you know what? I think I'm going to decide I'm going to be a gymnast at the 2020 Olympics. Gessie, how are you going to do that? Oh, I'm just going to start going to the gym.
Do a few splits.
What would you say? You'd say that child's crazy. She ain't going to no Olympics. Because I was just trying to just do it on my own, right? You need a support system, and for you, maybe it's making sure that you create a collective community of women in your group. For us, we have a whole team of people who literally, we have women who are doing this as a lifestyle together, so that you're not alone. Because when, you know, family reunion time comes around, or like, you know, I posted yesterday, the family, they went to Oxford. We went to Oxford, and they went to this homemade ice cream place. Everybody was having homemade ice cream, and I'm sitting there without any ice cream. Now, I wasn't there like, oh, I wish I had. I have my tribe. I was like, no, I know I don't want that ice cream, because, I mean, there's vegan ice cream. There's, you know, ice cream that's not dairy-based, but it wasn't at that place. And the truth is, I was like, no, I love my health too much. And I know what that does to my body. And because of that, I say, you know what? I went to social media, and I started talking to y'all. And I said, guess what, y'all? I'm out here. I got my food in my bag, just like I encourage you to do.
Others were having ice cream.
They're sitting. I showed them. And my daughter was like, yup, with her dairy mustache. And I said, listen, it's healing. It is a warrior mindset. And you have to decide, you know what I want more than anything is I want to be fully me. And because of that, it's worth the price when you have the right support.
So it's your mindset and your decision as well.
That's right.
I want to say two things about, based on what Gessie said. Number one, asking for help. Mm-hmm. A lot of people of color, we deal with shame when it comes to mental health.
Thank you.
You know, it's like, you know, tell Jesus about it, and everything's going to be all right. And it's about, you know, tell the pastor about it, and your pastor is called to help you with your spirit.
Or you need more faith. They'll say that.
You need more faith. Mm-hmm. When you need help with your car, you go to a mechanic. When your tooth hurts, you go to the dentist. You don't just sit there trying to pull the tooth out your mouth yourself.
I hope not.
So when you need help with your mind is an organ like everything else, and it needs attention, it needs care. When you need help with your mind, do not be ashamed to go to the places where people are equipped, where people are trained, where people have studied to help you with your mind. There is no shame in needing a place where you can talk, where you can vent, where you can express things that maybe you feel you can't express anywhere else. So there is no shame about needing help in that particular area of your life. That's the first thing I want to say. And the second thing I want to say about Gessie, like she mentioned about the ice cream, I enjoyed the ice cream that I had. But I want to say this about your tribe. And so she went on social media, etc., and she talked to a different part of her tribe there, because we're her tribe as well.
That's
and
right.
I will tell you how we showed up as her tribe. We didn't say, "Oh, come on, you can have some. You can."
That's right.
Your tribe, even if your tribe is not doing what you do.
Yep. Thank you.
They respect your right to do what you want to do, and they support you in doing what you want to do. So she did need a different kind of support from her other tribe, but as her tribe, her family, we didn't try to get her to do what we were doing or what we thought is okay or what we think is, there's no problem with it. We support her in being who she is. And so one of the main things you will find when you go to make change is you are going to find people that tell you, oh, you're trying to get new. Do not deny that. You are absolutely right. I am trying to get new because the old way was not working.
Amen to that.
Okay? So when people try to tell you that you're trying to get new and they're not supportive of it, then that is not your tribe. Relationships come to us in two ways. There are relationships that are for life and relationships that are for seasons. One of the worst things you could ever do is to take a relationship that's meant for life and make it seasonal, or make a relationship that is seasonal and try to make it lifelong. So every relationship in your life, understand why that relationship came into your life. And if it was seasonal, when the season is over, let it go. And if it was lifelong, then you invest what it takes to keep it healthy and strong lifelong.
Thank you so much, Coach Felicia. Oh, I wish we could go on and on and on. But look, an hour is almost gone. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness. I'm so glad you had us.
So where do we find you? And I know you have a program this Friday.
Yes.
Tell us where it is.
So this is actually exclusive. We haven't announced it anywhere. So you guys are hearing it first. First of all, let me say download the free food list I talked about at thedetoxnow.com/gift. So thedetoxnow.com/gift. You'll get all of our free resources. You can schedule for one of our free weekly group consults. We'll go through your patient profile and recommend the best course of action for you, for your plan, your desire. And that's really important because we want you to know you have a support system, okay? It happens weekly, and you just have to register at thedetoxnow.com/gift. Will give you all that information.
And
all right?
what's your social media
And I am Coach Gessie on Instagram. So it's Coach Gessie on Instagram. And I'm hosting an event, my first live, very intimate event here in London on Friday the 26th at 7 p.m. at Pharmacy. It's a vegan restaurant. It's called Pharmacy in Notting Hill. In Notting Hill. We promise to give you, it's called Detox Living Soul Food Sessions. Food for your spirit, soul, and body. And it includes a meal and a fireside chat with me, Coach Gessie, and it's very limited space. Tickets are not even live yet, but watch me on social media because we will be announcing them within this 24-hour period.
Thank you, Coach Gessie. And Coach Felicia, where can we find you?
Where can you find me? Now let me stop. I am on Instagram, and it's Ask Coach Felicia. And right now I do a lot of corporate work. So if there was something more corporate, now is a good time to reach out to me. But I do have some programming in the works that will launch in Q4 to be more individualized and more personal. And so if you follow me on Ask Coach Felicia, just stay in touch there. I'll be highlighting what I'll be doing. And then CoachFelicia.com. We do have a download there, and you can join our mailing list, and you will find out about the great things we're going to have coming in Q4.
Thank you so much, ladies. Our wonderful viewers. Thank you for watching it. Thank you, ladies, for coming. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you soon.
Thank you for having us.
Being invited,
yes.
Right?
Yes, of course.
Thank you very much for having us both.
Thank you. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.